What's up, everybody? Smooth Cosplayer here, your favorite salsa dancing cosplayer. And as you guys can see, I have four of my favorite cosplayers here who also love the X-Men as much as I do, maybe even more. And we are going to talk about the X-Men tonight. One thing I've always wanted to do is even before I knew the X-Men were coming to the MCU, I wanted to do a fan casting of the X-Men, but that never took off because I can't stop at just one squad of X-Men. I can't stop at just 5 or 6 or 7 of them. I got to go down the whole list, and because of that, I never get started with it. So I figured, let me just bring in some other people for some help. So I have, again, 3 awesome, amazing, beautiful cosplayers with me who love the X-Men. So let's get some introductions going on real quick. I want to start, let's see, I want to go counterclockwise from where I am. I don't even know if it shows up on the screen for y'all like this, but Mr. Michael Anderson, how are you tonight, my man?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. So when did you fall in love with the X-Men, sir?
Well, this will tell you my age. So I was a young little boy in the 80s, and I was watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So as we may know, that had so many introductions to so many Marvel characters, and every Firestar-centric episode was also an X-Men Spotlight episode. So that's when I really got to know, Firestar. So that's when I really got to know the X-Men, fell in love, and my first issue I read was Uncanny X-Men 211. The Mutant Massacre beginning. And for some reason, as a little kid, I loved it and I was hooked. So, Here we go.
You were a glutton for punishment, weren't you, huh?
I know, all these crossover events.
Nice. Next, we have Oddfell. Oddfell, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks again for having me.
No problem. Thanks for joining us. It's an honor. So, Oddfell, when did you fall in love with the X-Men?
So I got into comics a lot later than most people. I kind of skipped over it for most of my childhood. I didn't get into it until I was in high school, actually, because a lot of my friends worked at the comic shops, and then I got a job at the comic shop. And even though I was more into the other stuff, I ended up getting into comics. And at the time, I was mostly into DC stuff, and I liked a lot of the grungy kind of beat 'em up female characters. So my friend was like, "You should really check out X-Men. I think you'd like this character, Magic." And I deep dived her Wikipedia and found out what book she was in, and started tracking her down and deep dove everything to do with Illyana. And I fell in love with it. I loved it. The first run I read was the Bendis Revolution arc. So I have some weird hot takes about X-Men since that was my entry point, but I loved it.
Nice. And last but definitely not least, I have a returning friend to the channel. Miss Ceremony Cosplay, how are you?
Ooh, doing good. Excited to be here among some wonderful mutant friends. So thanks for having me.
Glad to have you back. So for those of you who did not catch my interview with her last year, when did you fall in love with cosplay? I'm sorry. I went back into my normal interview mode. So that is a remix of my opening question. And for those who have never caught it, I stole that opening question from the movie, I think it's Brown Sugar. It's a Sanaa Lathan and Taye Diggs movie. You know, all those early mid 2000s, black romantic comedies run together because they all got 1 or 2 of the same actors in there. Anyway, she interviews a lot of celebrities who all happen to love hip hop. So her opening question is always, when did you fall in love with hip hop? So I kind of stole it and remixed it. So to remix it again, what I meant to say, Sarah, when did you fall in love with the X-Men?
You know what? I'll do you one better, and I'll answer both.
Yes.
Fallen in love with the X-Men animated series, like many people was big gateway drug, and just my own personal realizations about myself, and as a kid growing up, finding that quick affinity and identification with all of my mutant brothers and sisters and siblings. And my first cosplay, I'd say real and legitimate cosplay, was from the show, was the Jim Lee White Suit Storm. So
nice. Beautiful. Very quickly for me, this was somewhere between 90 and 92. I forget exactly when it happened. I attended the same school as my mom that she taught. So one of her students, because I would always be at school late because she was late, being a teacher. So I didn't get to go home until she got to go home. So one of her students who would stay over, I think he got in trouble a few times. But he introduced me to some of his comics, and lo and behold, it was a Wolverine comic. So my first love with comics, period, was Wolverine. I kind of hate saying he's my favorite because it's so cliche. I don't like being cliche, but I mean, he's my gateway drug to comics and the X-Men. So I fell in love with the X-Men right after that, and just before the animated series came out. So I came in right on time, and Michael, I'm so jealous seeing that the X-Men arcade game. I think I dropped at least $20 worth of quarters every time, or as many times as I could, playing that game. So yeah, that brings back some memories. All right, yes. So rules for tonight for everybody watching at home. So I've called this a fantasy fan casting, because one thing I always ran into with mapping this out in my head was, okay, I think this actor would be good, but this actor is too old. I think this actor would be good, but they're already in the MCU. All these other complications. So we're throwing all of that out the window. So we all have chosen different characters. Michael and Oddfell are going to cast the 90s gold team of the X-Men. Sarah and I are going to cast the blue team. And the only rule with this is, if you cast someone who is already in the MCU, you have to also cast the character that they were playing. For instance, if I were to cast Angela Bassett as Storm, a lot of people feel like that would be the perfect casting. I would have to recast T'Challa's mother. So that's the only rule. You can pick any actor in their prime, dead or alive, whatever. So that is the rule. Those are the rules that we're going by tonight. So what we're going to start with first is who we're going to cast the people that we are cosplaying. All right. So I'm going to go in reverse order back to me. Sarah, I know who are you? I know things happened. You look great either way. You're somebody casually right now.
Yeah, regardless. I'm just casual Monet right now, because she has casual Monet. There were those, those fun filler episodes, which I live for filler. Some of those X Factor where she was just hanging out, and when she wasn't doing the modeling stuff. I wanted to get, because I knew tonight I'd be pushing it close, but there's a couple panels of her in her Rolling Stones t-shirt, like red pants. I was like, oh, I should have got that. But alas, I have no stones. But so I am Monet. We'll just pretend. And there, but the good thing is that she's pretty close to my standard look anyway. I got some colors in my hair. They don't really register, so it just looks dark. So that works. So going off of Monet, I didn't know if we were to send visual aids as well, or if you want me to put those in the chat and then we can share them with our team once they get all edited, or what would be best?
Oh, I'm just going to I'm going to do all the post editing work and just throw some pictures on the screen anyway. So yeah, I'll do all that hard work for us after.
All right. Awesome. So she is not really known to American audiences, but going back to why I love the X-Men, I wanted to make sure that everyone who was casted was canonically, ethnically, and nationality correct. So this actress, Layla Bekti, is Algerian and French Algerian, like Monet. Speaks French, and I feel like she has such a great look in a lot of her pictures and everything. She carries herself with that air that Monet does.
Yeah. And that ooh came from, because I actually just looked her up. I'm like, yes.
There's one picture, so I'm just gonna drop it in the chat because I love visual aids, and this is all about face casting. So why not? So let me drop her in here. I feel like it would be great to see someone, with that natural accent that comes out, and also there's a few just cultural things that that go along with the actor that is playing a role, and when someone can connect to it in a way that's a little bit more than the script, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And her biography has actually changed just because Yugoslavia doesn't even exist anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So she's technically, I had to look it up because there are so many, but you have like a part of the area that used to be Yugoslavia's Bosnia, Kosovo, Croatia, Montenegro, and there were a few other ones. And I kind of liken that to all of the different teams and all of the different phases that Monet has gone through. If she's in her own body, if she isn't, she is still always herself.
Yeah.
She's still Yugoslavia. It may not exist, or it may be in different pieces at different times and may have sharp red claws, but she's still very much herself. And so I feel like, an actor that's coming from that background, that has the look, that has that savoir-faire, can really be a good cast. So she takes it for me.
Good stuff. I actually thought of Monet recently, and I couldn't figure out why. But so, anybody seen Encanto?
Yes.
The new Disney movie. So
yes.
I took my daughter to see it for as a part of her birthday celebration, and I look at the main character's oldest sister. I'm trying to remember that, Isabella, and she's this kind of darker Latina with long, straight, flowy hair, and I kept thinking she reminds me of someone, but I can't put my finger on it. And it wasn't until later that I realized, oh, she reminds me of Monet, not just in look, but Isabella is like super perfect, and she knows she's perfect. And she always rubs it in her little sister's face because this is not a spoiler. Like if you watch the trailers, you know this. The main character is the only person in her family without a gift or without in our case, mutant power. So she's kind of at odds with her older, more perfect, super smug older sister. So as soon as I thought the word smug, I'm like, yeah, that's Monet right there. Yeah. So that's why I was thinking of Monet as I was watching Encanto. So Afel, you are cosplaying as Miss Jean Grey, correct?
Yes, and this one to me is so challenging to cast because I feel like Jean is portrayed so many different ways in so many of her different eras. But I have like a couple that I was looking at because I think if we're doing you can pick anyone from any time, I really liked Sophie Turner's casting. I would be fine seeing it continue. But I also think Bryce Dallas Howard would be great.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
he was more like late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
But even now, if they skewed X-Men up to being late 30s, 40s, I think she'd be a phenomenal Jean Grey.
Yeah, she killed it.
Yeah, and then I was looking to see like a lot of these I have like, okay, if they had a 10-year plan like the Avengers, who would I cast? And in that case, I have Phoebe Tonkin, who's a little bit younger.
Okay.
She does a bunch of the kind of teen drama stuff now, but she kind of has that softness to her while also kind of having a cutting bite when she needs to that I feel like Jean needs to have. She needs to be kind of soft and approachable, but also powerful when she needs to be.
Right.
So those are kind of some of the actresses I was looking at for her, just, all depending. But
Cool. I love that choice. Yeah. I recently saw her. I mean, I think what was it, Jurassic World that she was in. But I came late to the series, not Black Box, Black Mirror. So she's in one of my favorite episodes of Black Mirror. I think it's called Nosedive. Like it's a big parody on or social commentary on social media. I'm not gonna go on the plot side and derail us, but it's a good one. Cool.
She's phenomenal in that episode.
Yeah,
and honestly, that just even goes, like, I think her just kind of descending into madness in that episode just shows her range, and I really think she could nail Jean Grey.
Yeah, she got that. So, Michael, you're one of your favorites.
Sorry, I'm waving at a doggy. I have a little doggy visitor. Sorry about that. So,
no
I'm clearly dressed as Dazzler, who's my absolute favorite. Hi, Jolene.
Yes.
Little puppy Jolene's visiting. So this is a tough one because I love her so much, and there's so many names always thrown out by, like, just every website known to man is like, oh, this person's rumored. It's Britney Spears. No, it's Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
No, it's, and I'm like, people just like, let's chill, and like, it will happen eventually. And yes, she had a cameo in Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
So thinking of all the time frames, like Jean, like she's been around for a really long time, many different looks, many different decades. So I'm gonna cheat a little bit. So if I had to go with like a younger Dazzler, maybe just breaking out, I think Samara Weaving would be really good. So I really liked her in that movie. Oh gosh, I'm blanking. Ready or Not. And I really liked her as Scarlet in the Snake Eyes G.I. Joe movie. Like, I've seen her in a lot of things, and she has a lot. She has a really strong range, and I think people kind of forget about her because she's in so many things, and she can blend in, she can stand out, and she's really cool. So I really like Samara Weaving, but I really have to go with, regardless of decade and age, I have to go with really the real world Dazzler, who's Kylie Minogue. I mean, people. This is the real life Dazzler. This is her, like, one of her latest albums. So, so us Dazzler fans, like, if we're like, okay, who's the embodiment of the real life Dazzler? It's Kylie Minogue. Like, career-wise, she's a real survivor. She's a cancer survivor. She's very resilient, very positive. So that's who I would cast in my dream world. Like, not thinking about like the 10-year plan, like, okay, the contracts, and because she's 52 or 53, but they very easily de-age people too, as we see in these movies, and then get things up to current. So they can do anything. So she's my number one pick, definitely. And as we know, she can sing, right? So yeah.
Cool. So for Mr. X-Men himself, Cyclops, I chose Matt Damon. I always feel like he could play like the Boy Scout, straight laced, super serious type. But as we've seen in his Jason Bourne movies, he can at least act like he can fight. I don't know if he's got fighting skills on his own, but just from watching those movies, I can Cyclops is no slouch, y'all. People forget that he can fight. People forget that he can do a stalemate with Wolverine. People forget that he actually got hands. So that's why I chose Matt Damon. Just that Boy Scout, play by the book, play by the rules kind of leader there. So that's why I picked Matt Damon for Cyclops. All right. Oh, and by the way, y'all, we can save him for the end, but if someone picked a character who is someone that's really close to your heart, don't feel like you can't, throw yours out there. So I think kind of at the end, maybe we'll just kind of throw out, hey, this is what I had in mind for this character. This is what I had in mind for that character. So I don't want anybody to feel like somebody else got their character. I can't say my piece about it. All right. So moving along to the gold team. So let's start back with Oddfell. Who did you have other than Jean?
So I had Forge and Storm. So if you want, we can alternate, and I can start with Forge.
Okay.
So for this one again, I chose one that I could see logistically in the MCU, and then one that I just think would be perfect, but probably wouldn't be at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Benjamin Bratt would be absolutely perfect.
Okay.
He's done a lot of acting work, as well as he was a voice actor in Coco that came out in the last couple of years. He is Native American, which I looked into a lot of actors to make sure they were when looking for someone perfect for Forge, because I think matching representation as closely as you can is important.
Yeah.
But he is 58 right now, so I think, he'd be really, really good, but at this point, I don't know if they'd ever cast him. But he looks like Forge. It's really a great match. But for someone in the MCU, there's an actor in Reservation Dogs right now named Kiowa Gordon, and I think he could really pull off like a young Forge pretty well, and would probably have pretty good chemistry with some of my picks for like Storm and stuff based on age, if they were to go that direction.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So, Michael, who did you have for the gold team?
Yeah, Yeah, so I've got Iceman, Angel, and Colossus. So I'm going to start with Colossus, and this may blow a lot of minds or not. So this is someone who's not in the MCU, who's actually in DC, and I immediately thought of Mr. Superman himself, Henry Cavill. I just... physically, obviously, but boom. I have no concerns about him mastering an accent because he changes accents in nearly everything he's in. And just his physical presence, but he has that really like softness and sensitivity about him too that I see in a lot of his work. And you know, Colossus has that. He's a very sensitive guy, the artist. He takes a lot of things to heart, holds a lot of things in. So I think he could really nail it. Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. I love that one. I feel like he can pull off that look. As soon as you said it, I just thought of that slick back hair and then Colossus's hair. I'm like, yes, that's it. That's it.
And physically, like that's, you know, bada boom, easy.
Right. All right. Alpha, you said you had Storm as well, right?
Yes, I do. So for her again, I did like kind of an older actress and a younger actress. So my first one is, and I almost had to do a double casting because she was originally cast as Maria Rambeau before she had to step back. And it's DeWanda Wise. I think she just looks like the perfect Storm. Like she has kind of the high cheekbones, and she's just got like eyes that just like pop. And I'm sure if they did like the white contacts or something, like her eye shape is just perfect. She has like a kind of comedic air to her, but she can be serious when she needs to be. And I just think all around she would be a great Storm. And then again, if they started like X-Men as, you know, young Avengers age, or they were trying to plan longer, I think Amandla Steinberg would be an amazing younger Storm. She's only 23, but I feel like she can pull off kind of an air of regality as well that would really work well for the character. Gotcha. So, Michael, you said you have Iceman and Angel, right?
I do. So these were tough also. Yeah, these were tough. So, Iceman. So, Hemden Hod, because there's always been rumors about who would play him, and I do love who played him in the Fox movies. So that was tough. And I almost cheated and used his twin, but I didn't, because that's really cheating. That actor has an identical twin. So, wow. I'm going to go with an actor named Rick Cosnett. So he pretty much dies in everything that he's in. He's blonde. He recently came out of the closet, kind of like Iceman, right? Well, not so recently now. And he, I'm trying to think. He's been in The Flash the first season, then he died. Now he's coming back. What else was he in and died? He was in a few seasons of Vampire Diaries. He died in that too. And then, does anyone know who he is? Anyone? We can Google
the
it.
name sounds really familiar. I feel like I know who you're talking about.
I'm sure everyone, if they saw him, be like, "Oh, I know who he is."
I keep thinking of Sean Bean when you say he dies and everything.
Oh, he does too. Sorry. And they look similar. Actually, they look similar. But he's younger. I think this guy. I think he's probably in his mid to late 30s. So again, you know, depending how they go with these things, you know, if he's one of the first X-Men, maybe he could be older, depending on how that all plays out. But I always really enjoy his acting. And again, he can play very sensitive, very tough, and he can be very goofy, which I feel like with Iceman is really important, because he's always joking. You know, from the cartoons to the comic books, everything, he has this jokey, humorous side to him. So, as we know, probably for many years, kind of isolating part of himself and, you know, hiding some things. So I think he can really pull that off. And then I had Angel, and this was really tough because I was trying to think of someone who is very sophisticated, or at least can pull that off. Could come across as very snotty at times. And I had a really hard time with this, so I wanted to ask for help with this one. If anyone had any ideas, because I am stumped. I had a couple names, and I was like, no, I don't think that's going to work. Anyone? And I know we've already had him twice, so I think that made it worse, too.
I'm going to throw out Justin Hartley. So he is most recently in, I believe he's in This Is Us, if I got the name of the show right. But
yes, I know exactly who he is. Yes,
where I know him from is Now, I no longer attach soap operas to a gender, but back then, when he was in this soap opera, it was like a guilty pleasure because, you know, typically guys don't like soap operas, but I fell in love with the show Passions. And he played Fox Crane in Passions. He's a tall, blonde guy, and of course his family's rich, so that kind of fits the character. So yeah, if y'all see the picture of him, y'all be like, okay, he fits kind of what Angel was about. So yes, Justin Hartley.
I second that. I remember him.
Thanks for letting me cheat.
From where?
Yes, me too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's been around a long time. Yeah. Thank you for letting me cheat.
No problem. I'm going to cheat a slight bit later on too. I'm going to slightly break one of my own rules, but I have something to kind of soften the blow on the cheating there. But yeah, Sarah, you have, let me see, you picked Psylocke, Beast, and Gambit. Is that right?
Yes. So,
all right.
Yeah.
What we got?
Who should we tackle first? You know what? Since I'm really hyped still from the Kylie Minogue casting, I'm going to start with my pick for Miss Elizabeth. I'm going to cast Miss Rina Sawayama, one of my favorite singers, who is British Japanese. Is perfect, and I feel like she has such I want to use the term intense elegance.
Intense elegance. I like that.
That is very much pointed and exacting, but still cheeky. And I feel like she can definitely capture that. I'm also excited that you guys are familiar with who she is. I still have my favorite pictures, and I really like this one. This is just from, I think, like, not the BAFTA Awards, but it was some music awards in Britain. But this outfit that she has is so like gala, and it's light lavender. So it's checking all my boxes. And oh yes, you're a fan too? Of course, you got great taste.
Okay. I'm yes, that dress, I just looked it up. That, yes, very gay. Is it gala or gala? I'm sorry. My wife would roll her eyes at me for not pronouncing it correctly right now. But is it gala or gala?
I think it depends on your accent and like region, but gala is what I would say.
Gala. Gotcha. But yes, she is killing that dress. Yes, everyone in the audience, I will have that up for you when I make the video. But yes, it is elegant. It's what was the phrase you made up now?
Intense elegance.
Intense elegance. Yes, that picture captures that, definitely. All
and she will be acting, actually. She's going to be in the next installment of John Wick, which is really
nice. All right, so I had Wolverine and Rogue. So for Rogue, I'm gonna start with Wolverine, actually. I was tempted to go back and grab why is my mind is going blank. He's the most obvious person, and he's been Wolverine. Why is my brain not working right now? Please tell me who's been playing Wolverine for the past.
Hugh Jackman.
Yes,
Hugh Jackman.
Yes, and my wife would roll her eyes even harder because that's one of her crushes there. She's got him and Chris Hemsworth. And I got, and I can't remember her name right now, but she plays Jane. She plays Padme. Natalie Portman. Yes,
Portman.
Yeah. So neither of us give each other crap for our celebrity crushes. It's a good thing. But yeah, so not doing Hugh Jackman. Not gonna go with who's the other person that everybody says should be Wolverine. Not gonna go with Tom Hardy. I'm actually going to go with Richard Armitage. I know him from, and of course, you guys have probably seen him in plenty of other things, but I know him from The Hobbit. He played, my mind is just not working today.
Thorin.
Yes, Thorin Oakenshield.
The School Knight.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, just the And again, I mean, I'm done with the whole too tall thing. I mean, we're not gonna find an actor who was 5'3" who was also believable as Wolverine. So I'm kind of over that. So, I mean, if they need to, and if they decide to go that route, they can make him shorter. I mean, they made Gimli shorter, but he's like the tallest of the Fellowship, I think. But yeah, so I'm going with Richard. I mean, I got that a little bit of a Wolverine vibe from him in The Hobbit. A little prideful like Wolverine is. Got the fighting skills like Wolverine, and he can definitely pull the look off. So yeah, Richard Armitage for Wolverine. And Sarah, you said you have a Gambit and Beast left over, right?
Yes. So for Gambit, I just dropped his picture. It was this picture that was the deciding factor for me. But he's a French actor, Gaspard Ulliel, and
ooh,
yeah,
yes, that picture, yes,
right,
yes.
Like, again, I feel like dialects, if they are natural, are just always top tier. And even though he's not American and not Creole, I think that still having a French base would be ideal for Gambit's character. Also, as I'm building my team, I just have like imagery of like M with her, proper French, and then like Gambit with his like Creole, like like I like that banter that's in my head of like proper and not. But yeah, I feel like he's just a great cast. I feel like the way that his eyes and his brow bone is set, I feel like with the sclera lenses, because he will have them on. There's no cheating and doing little spark. No. Cosplayers have to
Get
stuff
right.
for you.
yeah.
So, I feel like he's got a great look and a charm about him, and some of his things that he's done, because he's modeled as well, are very, very straight ahead, and others can kind of look like, I wouldn't exactly trust this person. And that combination, I feel like, is Remy. With longer hair, I feel like he would be a great face cast and great casting. Also, while I was looking into this, I danced around the rules just barely and on accident. So I dominoed it. And he is actually going to be, he's not in the MCU, but he's going to be in Moon Knight, which is cool.
Nice.
I will never see him as Gambit, but I have my dreams.
Yes. Your dream is mine now too.
Never know.
You sold me with that picture. I'm like, I don't need to look again. I'm good.
Yeah. And you never know, like Gemma Chan was in the MCU and then they went, just kidding, here she is again. Like,
I know. She died, we can use her again. Yes.
Yeah.
It totally works.
As long as we don't get Channing Tatum, I'm good.
Agreed.
Agree.
I just never saw him.
Thank God that
as
never happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Agree.
That would have just been.
Nah, don't do it. I didn't like him as
we dodged a bullet,
yeah.
Everybody.
Right.
No, I know Duke too. I know that was not.
Can't. Him doing the accent, like I
No.
Yeah.
I'm not with it.
It would be a comedy, right?
Yes. All right. So this is not the cheating that I was talking about, but I guess I'm slightly cheating too because I'm not gonna ask for help here. Rogue, I cannot decide between Amanda Peet and I'm gonna butcher his name, Fairuza Balk. So Fairuza,
Blast from the Past.
Yeah.
Wow.
So everybody else
Return
knows
to
her
Oz
from,
fame.
Oh wow. She was in, I've been meaning to watch Return to Oz because, when someone told me how creepy it is, I'm like, oh, creepy, I'm in, right? So yeah, I need to see it even more now. But I remember seeing her in Waterboy and that Southern accent, and just seeing how she just, she was ride or die for Bobby Boucher. Like, so yes, that Southern accent there, and then also for Amanda Peet, I've only seen her in one movie. It was Identity.
Yes,
who else was
so
in there?
good at that.
Ray Liotta was in there. John Cusack is in there. I'm trying to figure out who else that I Oh, Bullet Head from the Steve Harvey Show was in there. A bunch of other people I know by face, but I can't remember the names. But just her southern, sweet, sassy character in that one. So both of them have always stuck out in my head as far as who could play roles. Of course, they'd be too old now, but if they were in their prime, that would be perfect roles. So, what do you guys think, Amanda or Fairuza?
It's Fairuza for me.
Going with Fairuza. I'm gonna go with Amanda, based on identity. Yeah, I definitely see that because that depth again of like that southern sweet.
Yeah,
and she was a real survivor too, right? Like she was really doing what she needed to do to survive, even before the big murder ordeal.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a little more familiar with Amanda's work, so I'm gonna lean towards her. I just don't know a whole lot that the other actress did, but I could see both being workable for the character.
Gotcha. You know what? We're gonna do the fusion dance and mix them together, and they'll both be right. So yeah, I'll circle back to a final decision on that one. But yeah, so Sarah, lastly, you got Beast, right?
Yes, I do, and not a. May or may not be controversial choice, but I'm gonna go with Mr. Jermaine Clement.
I don't know him by face, but I know the name. I know the voice.
Okay, well, you'll see. This is from a photo shoot that really that drove it home for me. I feel like, even though like Hank's an Illinois boy, so we'll tone down the New Zealand in Jermaine's. But I feel like he has the air of like he's the straight man of Flight of the Conchords usually, and still has fun, but oh, yeah. I feel like he has a vibe even in his humor that enjoys being like a little bit on the dry side, which can kind of come off as very like scholarly and astute and well read, and sometimes adjusting to certain things in conversations. He shows a little bit of like gaps in like socialization, because it's like I'm just around books all day. I'm up here most of the time with my science and books. So if you like make a TikTok reference, it may not land with me, but I'm just gonna roll with it. Oh my stars and garters! And I feel like Jermaine would be able to roll with that, and kind of on a more somber note when Hank has his lower moments. I feel like people do use humor to mask a lot of those, things that they don't necessarily want to wear on their sleeve. And I think that he could channel that.
Nice. So, Phil and Michael, y'all both disappointed me and excited me at the same time, because y'all left out a very important member of the Gold Team. Where's Bishop?
We did? Oh, see, we thought
I could have sworn you said you were doing Bishop. Maybe I hallucinated.
Oh, you know what? No, you that is somewhat my fault. So big shout out to Nerd Alert Cosplay, who was originally going to be on this with us. So he was going to cosplay Wolverine. So because our deal was we were going to all cast who we cosplayed as, but because Wolverine is on the blue team, I said, okay, swap with give me somebody from the gold team. So I picked Bishop. So I take that. I own that. That's
we didn't forget. We love Bishop too.
Yeah, no.
So I'm actually gonna
back in when we switched up. That's my
I'm gonna step in and do this one, and I'm very excited to do this because I thought about. I can't remember his name, but he was Black Manta in Aquaman. And he was also in that very fun episode of Black Mirror with Anthony Mackie. He's also in The Matrix. I thought about him, but you know what? No, I'm going to go with Mr. Clifford Smith, Method Man from the Wu-Tang Clan. He's, his acting. I'm not going to say he's the best actor in the world, but he's the fact that he keeps getting roles. I'm like, he's getting it. He's getting it. And there's a picture floating out there, at least 2 or 3 pictures out there of him cosplaying as Bishop. And once I saw that, I'm like, Well, I got to have it. He has to be Bishop.
Yeah.
Yes. I will dig. Actually, let me see if I can dig that up. But yes, once I saw that, yes, Method Man has to be Bishop, and he killed it. He nailed it. So while I'm looking up Method Man as Bishop, I know that. So we're also going to do one villain each. So going back in reverse order here, Sarah, who did you pick as your villain to cast?
Well, this one was a no-brainer for me just because I love him and he's so insane. I don't know why he isn't in more things. But I'm casting for Mojo, and it's going to be Mr. Danny DeVito.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please take Danny DeVito and not ever have him be linked to Wolverine again.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just had to.
Sarah, thank you.
No problem. I just feel like between like Always Sunny, it was like a mix of like Always Sunny and his role in Matilda, and I'm like, yeah, that's it. It's Mojo.
I love
Despicable.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Phil, who did you pick for your villain?
So I picked Mr. Sinister because I think he's an extremely entertaining villain, and I'm bummed that we've got close so far from ever seeing him.
Yes.
And I picked Jason Isaacs. I feel like he would be phenomenal, like kind of having that kind of like biting suave anger that Sinister has, where he's kind of like, I'm better than everyone, but also I need this thing. And for me, it was kind of seeing his performances as Hook and as Lucius Malfoy. I was like, I feel like somewhere Sinister's kind of over the top and extreme with his style in a way that like both of those characters really show that he could pull it off.
Yeah. Cool. Michael, who you got for your villain?
All right, so I started backwards with mine. So I started with my favorite actor who has not been anything MC related. I'm like, okay, where can I put this person? And would this person actually take the role? Like, that's a tough one. So my favorite person in the entire universe in the acting world is Patricia Arquette. She's the best. I love her. I've loved her since I was a little kid. So this all goes back. So I'm like, who could she play? Because she takes these roles, like, especially lately, these very transformative roles where, like in The Act and Escape at Dannemora, where she completely changes her body, her face, her like everything, and her accent, and really goes for it. And I'm like, wait a second. If we want to like a really tough transformation, like, I think she could do Emma Frost. I think she could even do her now. I have always seen Emma Frost as older. And I swear in the comics they de-aged her. I felt like early on she seemed like maybe in her 30s, maybe even 40s, way back in the day. And we know how comics go. You know, everyone's age seems to go backwards. Like Rogue, for example. So I'm like, okay, so how could we do this so that she would take the role? I'm like, well, Emma has so much depth. She has so much trauma, so much depth to her. And whether she's playing like a villain type or not, Emma always has that aspect to her, right? Like she's always manipulating something, she's up to something, and she's using different, whether she's using her sexuality or just straight up outsmarting somebody, she has so many layers to how she can really control a situation. And I'm like, I really would like Patricia to play her because she gives so much depth to every character that she plays, and I think it would be really fun for her to play really, to play someone that, someone who's very award-winning, famous with Oscars and every, acting award known to man for film and TV, to really sink their teeth into, and I think Emma Frost is that character.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I got Apocalypse. This is the one I'm slightly cheating with. So, like everyone else, and rightfully so, I was trying to find somebody who was actually Egyptian to play Apocalypse. I love Oscar Isaac to death. He was not Apocalypse. Not sorry. So the guy that I landed on is actually in the MCU, but if I were to say his name, nobody would pick him out, and very few people would know who he was. Faran Tahir, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, He was one of the 10 Rings guys in the original Iron Man. But I figured, so I'm looking for, I just looked up as many Egyptian actors as I could find, and he was the one who most closely matched what I kind of expect to see in Apocalypse. My runner-up was Mito Hamada, and I had actually never seen him in anything, but when I saw him and I heard his voice, he doesn't have the deepest voice in the world, but he also doesn't sound like Stewie Griffin either. So sorry, that's when I heard Apocalypse talk a few times, that was the voice I heard. And I was like, I'm not scared of that. I'm not afraid of him at all. So what I'm going to do here with Ferran, since he actually has already been in the MCU, of course, CGI the heck out of him, because of course Apocalypse has to be, 7 feet from the jump and only get bigger from there. But I'm not going to use his voice. I'm actually going to use, because I thought about the original voice, but I thought about going in a different direction, but it's still a similar voice. I'm actually going to use, I think he's still with us. If he's not still with us, I apologize. Arthur Burkhart. He played Destro in the original G.I. Joe cartoon. And he also voiced Devastator in the Transformers cartoons. So I feel like that Destro, that's because when I've been reading X-Men comics, I just finished X of Swords the other night. And as I read Apocalypse, for some reason I have a hard time putting his cartoon voice as I'm reading. Like, that voice is iconic, don't get me wrong, and I love that voice, but as I'm reading, I can't quite do it. Just like with Storm. Storm is written differently in the comics and in the cartoon. Like, in the comics, she doesn't have that fanfare, that all that drama going on with her powers that we all know and love. I can't read her the same in the comics, so I can't attach the same voice. So I figured the voice that I hear from Destro in G.I. Joe would fit with Apocalypse. So putting that voice on top of Ferran there. So that's kind of how I finagled it.
And I think he's alive. I think he's 74 and alive.
Okay. Dodged the bullet there. I was like, please don't let me.
According to Wikipedia, who anyone can update, he's alive.
All right, cool. Y'all, I totally overestimated how much time we need to do this part. We have not even gone an hour. So
wow.
From here on out,
you did awesome.
It's no structure from here on out. If anybody got to leave, they can leave. Anybody want to stay, they can stay. We can geek the hell out about the rest of this stuff, because I know we all got more people in mind that we will want to play certain characters. So we're just gonna have at it.
I have to skedaddle, ladies and gentlemen, just to keep the household structure for the evening on a school night, work night. So I'm gonna skate out. But thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun, and I hope I can jump in for another one someday.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for taking time out, my man. I know you got responsibilities, but yes, you have a wonderful night.
You got it.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Take care.
Great to meet you.
Yes. If my mouse works, I will leave. There we go. Goodbye, really.
It doesn't want you to leave. All right. So we've done the X-Men Blue and Gold team. Dang it! And I just thought about the Outback team, but someone who I know loves the Outback team just left.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sarah, I know you love the other Summers brother, Havoc. I know you got somebody in mind for Havoc.
I do, and I forgot his name. I was not prepared. Oh God!
While you're thinking, I thought of Chris Pine. He's the guy that played Wonder Woman's love interest in Wonder Woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I saw him, I'm like, that's a good Havoc right there. No other reason. I just saw that initial sight of him. I thought Havoc.
Okay, I found him. So earlier, I'm gonna put him, I guess, where he was. I'm trying to find like a 90s picture. Gabriel Aubrey.
That name sounds
Calamari
familiar.
Oh my god, this is gonna kill me. 'Cause I'm not gonna find. I feel like I can't find any recent pictures. I was not prepared, but I
Okay.
do.
I
This
see you.
for you. Oh, this file name is just Gabriel Aubrey, Sharp Dressed
Okay.
Man.
I like it. I like it. And I love that perfect dimple in his tie though. I'm jealous. I can never get mine that good. Not on the first try anyway.
It's I guess it's folding that way for his the disc in his suit underneath.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like he's got like the face and head to actually wear a cowl and it not look ridiculous.
Not everybody can pull off a cowl, right?
You know, it's a tough thing. Like what did I have that's a cowl? Like I had to kind of modify my my Polaris because it was just like a wig situation, and I was like, oh man, if this isn't adjusted. There was a couple pictures like mid-con where it's like slightly askew, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just so much maintenance to keep, and then my head's getting hot. So it's just a lot. But I feel like with like a modified, modern MCU design, I feel like they would still keep some of those elements, but still you have to have, I feel like, a certain like face shape for that type of structure.
Yeah.
And with a longish kind of blonde hair, I feel like Gabriel would be a solid face cast for Alex.
Nice. All right. Who are some of you guys' other favorites that we haven't mentioned yet?
I would love to keep Maisie Williams and Anya Taylor-Joy over from New Mutants. I think those are some of the most perfect castings I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And Blue. I think Blue is an amazing dating Moonstar. If I could just keep those, that would be great.
was one of the ones, because I don't know them by name. Was one of the ones you mentioned? Was it Magic?
Yeah, it was Magic, Wolfsbane, and Danny Moonstar. I think we're all perfect.
Yeah, she killed that. Yeah. Like I was pissed at her a few times in that movie, but I thought that just as a testament to how good of a job she did. Like I was like, girl, you're laying it on thick right now. But yeah, yes. Let's not keep that actress for Cecilia Reyes though. I like her as an actress, but I'm like, y'all missed that.
Yeah.
That was
but
hard.
no, like if we could keep like half of the New Mutants cast, that would be great.
yeah, I'm with you. Let me see who else. Oh,
did we miss anyone on the teams? I think because Jubilee is on the team.
She's kind of like the Forge of the blue team because like she was always in there, and I mean she's technically like she wasn't in that first issue of that squad of X-Men, like in X-Men #1. She was nowhere to be found, but she kept showing up everywhere. Maybe after about, I want to say issue 4 or so, you always saw her. And of course, Forge was always hanging around the Gold team, but like if you pull up the trading card for it, he's not there, but he's in all the comics though. So I think Jubilee is to the blue team as Forge is to the Gold team, and maybe even Banshee too, because Banshee was a little Gold team too. I had Ellen Wong for Jubilee. I remember her from she was Knives Chow in Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Nice.
And I had a little crush on her. I was like, yeah, dude, you should have gone with her and not Ramona, dude. Like you.
I always thought she was cuter.
Yeah.
For mine, I would pick. She's not too popular in America, but Chrissy Chow. I think she has a really cute and a really fun look.
Okay.
A fuller face, very soft features. I feel like when I see people, I'm like, this person resonates to me as this character and how they're captured by artists at different times. So I would I would pick her. She has such a cute smile, and I feel like for certain characters, like you do just need something in the face. Like for someone like Clint Eastwood, it's like you need to have like a certain look. Somebody else could deliver the lines in the exact same way. But you don't have that, it's not really gonna register. So I feel like her features would really convey. Jubes. So. Got our whole team. I'm proud of our team. We have some solid picks.
Yeah.
Really good ones.
Yeah, I can't wait to like just kind of have them all in a lineup on screen.
Just visualize.
Like, yes. Who else? Oh, so we mentioned we were talking about G.I. Joe earlier. I picked someone from G.I. Joe. Well, actually, the first two, Rise of Cobra and Retaliation. Storm Shadow's actor, if I pronounce his name properly, Young Hun Lee as Sunfire. So, yeah, as I started thinking about, okay, who from the giant size X-Men squad do I want? Yeah, so I think I came about it as I was rewatching X-Men. I think I did not X-Men, G.I. Joe. I was rewatching them last year to kind of do everything I hate about this movie type video, and as I saw Storm Shadow again, I thought he would make a good Sunfire. I think. Oh, and speaking of those videos that I did, circling back to Jean Grey, Hannah Emily Anderson, she actually played Jean Grey's mom in Dark Phoenix, but I first saw her in this movie called Jigsaw. It was apparently, I guess, Saw 8. If you're keeping track with the numbers, I just saw this really tatted up redheaded actress, and I was like, she would make a good Jean. And then lo and behold, I see her as Jean's mom in Dark Phoenix. So I thought, I mean, I would love to see some of these with tattoos anyway. Y'all know how I feel about that. I'm not that cosplayer who wants to hide tattoos. I think everybody looks better with them anyway. So. I don't know if those tats were for the movie or if they were or if she actually just had them. I don't know. But as soon as I saw her, I thought, yep, that's Jean Grey. That's Jean.
No, she would be great.
When I think of tattoos, I think of Daken mostly. So I feel like he's...
Yeah. Who would be a good Daken, though?
Cool. That's one that I struggle with, because he's one of the characters that I don't like follow closely, but I really, really enjoy whenever he shows up. I'm like, oh yeah, he's here. And you mentioned giant size. Mm-hmm. My favorite, My Little Blueberry. I don't know about Nightcrawler recasting.
Yeah.
I don't know who Nightcrawler is so tricky, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because some of the casting too, I'll be like, oh yeah, no, I think that person's good, and then like I'll see them blue, and I'm like, I don't know.
yeah. I kind of want to go back to the original guy. I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
Because the second guy, I don't know. I think it was the hair that threw me off. Like he was like the little emo look that they had for him. So it wasn't his fault. It was just more the look they gave him that threw me off. I did like seeing him have a little dark edge to him towards the end of Dark Phoenix. So I think that one guard who he tried to save and then somebody else killed him. So that's made him snap, and he kind of took a few bodies with him at the end. I'm like, okay, Nightcrawler got a little edge to him. Y'all pushed him over.
Yeah. You know who that is, though. What are you gonna do? You do your best.
Yeah. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
All right. Who else am I thinking? I got a bunch of people who we've already done. Like I don't know why I wrote down Jane Levy for Rachel Summers, and I don't know why. I don't even remember her name right now. Actually, I'm just going to look up who she is. I'm pretty sure as soon as I see the picture, I'll remember why I wrote her down for Rachel.
I'd love to see Hope in a movie. I don't have a person.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see Hope.
I think the entire...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
So Jane Levy is actually from Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. So it's a show my wife watches. So basically, like when she's watching it, I'll just sit down and watch it with her too. So she's that show reminds me a lot of The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. So both of their characters are kind of in the same vein. But yeah, I'll link it here. She might be a little too upbeat for Rachel though, or at least going off of that character, I guess.
She looks a lot like Emma Stone. I thought it was her.
No, yeah, I see that. I can see that. Emma Storm. I had to go away from using Angela Bassett. I wanted to do that so bad because I always felt like she was the best one, but I was torn between Gabrielle Union and Sonequa Martin Green because I love Sonequa from The Walking Dead. I kind of was the only reason I wouldn't go with Sonequa is because I think a lot of people have been wanting like a bona fide, straight up dark brown Storm. And I think Sonequa fits it, but I could see some people feeling like she doesn't quite hit it enough. So I know some people were upset with Hallie, some people were upset with, what's her name?
Because everybody's half white.
Right.
I think Alexandria Shipp is also biracial.
Yeah, Alexandria Shipp, yeah. I wasn't too upset with Alexandria until she started talking trash about, so someone asked her about Storm and Black Panther being together, and she basically was just on some, now, to be fair, Storm don't need no man. She doesn't. So, but she was like, yeah, I don't really want to see Storm with Black Panther. Storm doesn't need a man to validate her. And I'm like, that's not why people want to see them together. They were the ultimate power couple. Black Panther doesn't need Storm, but Storm doesn't need Black Panther, but we want them together. And then she went on to say that, oh well, Storm has been around longer than Black Panther, and I'm like, no, you lost your case there, my dear. But yeah,
I'm actually not. Since we're gonna step away from casting, if we're gonna go to the shipping wars, just a touch. And I know you had a comment a little bit ago, so I don't know. Did you want to finish first before I get into my little?
Oh no, we don't have to. It was slightly tangenty, so we can go on into shipping.
Let's do it.
If it comes back, do jump in because I'd like to hear what people have. But I am not a fan of the pairing.
Of Storm and Black Panther?
Yeah, no, I mean obviously I love them both in their own way.
Yeah.
I like them as like allegiance. But I feel like them as a couple was a very calculated for the wrong reasons sort of thing. And Storm has been, she's been involved in like many different questionable scenarios. It's like, oh, are you a prince? Oh, okay, well, I'm with you now. And like she tends to get involved with, some leader of some land, or there's like some involvement that she gets wrapped up in.
Somebody off on some other planet that's asking for her help.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just been weird. So out of all of the crack ships, which I still don't really agree with, but I still think it's fun because it does make sense. And I'm going to tiptoe on the mutant line with my next favorites, the Asgardians. In the X-Men Asgardian Wars, which is one of my favorite storylines, it doesn't happen in that line, but there are a few one-offs. I don't remember the name of the arc, but it's Thor and Storm, and I'm like, oh, Thunder King. This makes sense. Like Regal. I mean, Thor's a doofus, but he's still regal sometimes.
Yeah. Big old himbo.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't like it, but I get it, so I like it, but it's not what you expect, so I like it. And those are my strange feelings. But going back to the actual canon storyline, the idea that, when Loki like used her to get back at Storm was like, oh, Midgard has this? I extra don't need you. And I can use, she had, her own hammer, and then she kept like the Valkyrie for a while. So
yeah.
I think that's my favorite pairing, even though it's a crack pairing and I don't actually like it.
Yeah.
I feel you. I'm in the same boat. I do really like Wolverine and Storm, though.
Yes.
I think they counter each other in a really interesting way. And I think I prefer that than her and Black Panther just because it keeps her in the X-Men books also.
Right.
And I kind of like when she stays within the realm of Mutant Marvel a lot of times. But I don't know. I think they play off each other really in a fun way. Probably kind of similar to Thor and Storm just because Wolverine can be a himbo at times. And it's fun to watch her call him to the mat. So.
Yeah, I'm with you on Storm and Wolverine. It's funny, again, I mentioned how I just finished reading X of Swords, so there's that one fight where it's Storm and Wolverine having a drinking contest, and then they both get drunk and they both start to flirt with each other. And Storm was like, "Don't make me tell Jean. Don't make me tell Jean on you." And then even going back to when some of their first missions together, when Cyclops was still leading the team. This is what I always bring up when people don't respect Scott Summers. Now, I don't think they had established that Wolverine had an adamantium skeleton at this point, or at least at this point, they keep forgetting that he has it at certain times. So Wolverine is like mouthing off to Cyclops, and Cyclops has had it, and he just straight backhands Wolverine, which should have broken his hand, but anyway. So I bring that up to say, look, y'all, Scott Summers backslapped Wolverine and lived to tell the tale. If that don't tell you anything else about Scott Summers deserving respect, nothing else will. But then right after that, Wolverine is about to jump Cyclops, and Storm steps in and said, I forget what she says, but she says something to basically put him in his place. And I'm like, if anybody needs to be there to put Wolverine in his place, if anybody needs to be Wolverine's woman or Wolverine be her man, it's Storm. Because that, like, if Wolverine ever gets out of hand,
his body's a lightning rod. Like.
Yeah. I wasn't even thinking about that, but that's yes. So yeah, and plus I remember seeing, I don't know if you remember that back when they were doing the End series, like they had Wolverine the End, X-Men the End, Spider-Man the End, all that. So in X-Men the End, Wolverine and Storm were together in that one. I think Storm, something had happened with Storm's body to where she was in some kind of pod where she couldn't move her body or whatever, and Wolverine was taking care of her. And then a War Scroll attacked, and Storm just kind of broke out of her whatever state she was in, and they both defeated the Scroll together. But just the fact that it was an old Wolverine and not old Storm, but Wolverine taking care of Storm, like, hey, babe, I know I'm by your side. So that just kind of sealed the deal for me, seeing Wolverine and Storm together at some point. So yeah.
Yeah, and Days of Future Past, there's a lot of sweet moments.
Yes. There.
I'm like, oh, okay. I get soft for those two. Jubilee Wolverine, there's always some good moments.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler and Wolverine, nice moments. So
yeah.
I feel like he brings a lot out of people and contrasts with people on the team. That's why he's the loner. That's the one on every team at the same time.
Yeah.
I think for those reasons and why he's such a fan favorite.
Yeah. I even love his moments with Cyclops. Some of my very favorite moments. I think right before, this is at the very beginning of Schism, Wolverine and Cyclops are walking somewhere. I forget where they're walking to. And Cyclops basically thanks Wolverine for always being there. And then Wolverine says something to the effect of, hey, when there's somebody worth following, I follow. So even if Wolverine still can't stand him, like, he falls in line when it's Cyclops in charge, because he knows that he will lead them down the right path. And then, they have their falling out with Schism. And then one of my favorite issues is Wolverine and Cyclops go to the same Sentinel base to try to destroy the Sentinels, and they end up fighting each other and fighting the Sentinels at the same time. But then they have a timeout and they're all bruised and battered, and they have it out. They have a big argument, but Wolverine says, "Dude, you're not the man who I used to follow. I need you to be that. We need you to be that man again." So they hug it out, kind of have a little, guys can do sometimes. They insult each other, but they're really saying it because they love each other. So they kind of walk out with that. I think the words were, Cyclops says, "You look like shit," and then he says a guy who wears sunglasses and sit inside. So I'm like, yeah, they made up. That was the closest they would ever have to hugging it out. So yeah.
So many good pairings. That's what's so cool about the X-Men that I feel like other teams don't really have. Is that camaraderie where even if you want to, fight until the end of it all, you still know, like, we are us and they are them, and they might be cool with us now, but they will always know what we are, and things could always change, and who will have your back.
Right.
There's so many rich characters that you really can mix and match and have interesting teams and refresh things and still have it feel meaningful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, big question for you guys, and I think I want to kind of wrap it with this. Whenever we do get the X-Men in the MCU, what do y'all want to see the most out of like, whether it's storylines, relationships, how they get introduced? What do y'all want to see the most out of that?
What do we want to see, or what's most plausible, or can those be two different answers?
Two different answers, or however you want to do it.
I think for me, I would like an introduction where, if we have like a base original team, even if it's not quite the OG5.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to see the first movie be giant size or a story similar, where you have your base team and you have your second team, and it's like that whole interaction, and then you kind of keep the best of both teams to move forward. But I think that would be kind of an interesting first film, instead of starting with like finding the original team and all that stuff. We've seen that. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to have something kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It's like how they did the recent Spider-Man trilogy. Like, we've seen Spider-Man rehashed so many times. By the way, No Way Home was amazing. Just saw it last night. Not going to spoil anything, but it's worth seeing. But yeah, they've redone that so many times. We don't need another origin story. We can get a coming in on it right now.
Uncle Ben is.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, we can come in without having without doing a new origin. But there's always a way to fill in the origin as we go along. So I agree. We don't need to find everybody and then put them all together. We can just kind of come in right here, and we'll get everything eventually. I just want to see. I'll say what I don't want to see. I don't want to see just names just slapped on a character. Like, Sarah, we talked about this before, how we didn't even know Psylocke was in X-Men Last Stand. So I found out she was in there because I'm watching the credits, and I see Psylocke's name in the credits, and then by seeing her name, it had to have been this character here. The one Asian girl who happened to have a little bit of purple in her hair, and she used the power that Psylocke isn't really known for having, which is, after she did the Crimson Dawn thing, she she gained the ability to teleport through shadows. So she came out of a shadow towards the end. I'm like, really? So y'all just kind of threw her out there? Y'all just gonna slap a name on this character? So I just hate, whether it's X-Men, whether it's Transformers, I just hate when people just, this is supposed to be this character. I couldn't tell. as long as they don't do, I've seen enough from the MCU to trust that they're not going to do that. I fully trust they're going to, they're going to knock it out of the park. But that's what I don't want to see.
I think for me, after much thought and deliberation, because I go back and this, unpopular opinion, but I think we should start with mutants that have not been on screen before.
I'm with it.
I feel like we have so many rich characters and so many cool characters that don't really get a shot. So my idea would be to either start a Weapon X team or an X Factor team. My only holdover, canon holdover, sort of, that I do want. So I'm Doctor Strange. It's Multiverse of Madness. Okay. I want Laura to come over, same actress, and I want her to be as new Wolverine. Also, I do not want Wolverine to come back. Logan is so good and so powerful to just undercut it with like, oh well, now he's been recast. Okay, yeah, multiverse and all that, but it's way too soon, and people are so attached to that, to Hugh as Logan. It's like, and we've got X-23 right here. Right here. So that would be my goal. I feel like people they've dabbled a little bit. They got on the edge with Deadpool, and they're like, oh, there's some of those other ones out there that aren't exactly by the book like what we've seen. I'd love to see more. Like, throw at me like some wild ones. Legion also fantastic. Yeah. I want to see your like Kid Omegas, and I want to see your wild off the deep end mutants. And also, the one thing that I don't want to see is convenient powers that work conveniently or don't work conveniently because plot has to happen.
Yeah.
I want something that's cohesively, consistent throughout the movie and throughout the story. And it's like, you can do it with the Avengers. It's like little things like, oh yeah, Cap can't get drunk. Oh, okay, yeah. But at the same time, we can't keep power straight with Days of Future Past, and now Kitty can do things that but oh man,
or Darwin, whose power is just instantly negated.
Right. Yeah. Same with Bishop. Like Bishop should not have died.
Yeah,
same like Darwin should have.
And it's just like, well, not that much. Like,
it should have exploded out, but he should have lived. Like, his battery is just going to overflow. It's not going to kill him. Like, we've seen it happen in the comics.
God, awful. Like, I don't want this to happen, but like in my head, how that would have went, it would have been horrible. So he blasts out, and he's okay. He's recovering, and you don't see Storm.
Yeah.
And he has to live like, gut me, but do it because you mean it. Like, not just frivolous powers. So I would say overall, just consistent powers, canon powers, and a team that is new to the audience.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned leaving Wolverine out. As much as I want to see him eventually, because my ideal thing would be he needs to be there, but wait a long time. But I'm also with not seeing him, and my reasoning for both of them, whether either we don't see him at all or we see him but we don't see him for another 5 years, is as good as Hugh Jackman was, as much as he probably helped boost the X-Men's popularity. He should never have been the leader, and he shouldn't have been the star. And they just took that and just milked it. And Sarah, you and I have talked about this. Anybody who's watching the channel, you guys know I've ranted about this way too many times. But we never knew Cyclops was a leader. Now, I'm Team Wolverine all day, but Cyclops is the heart and soul. He's the leader. He is the X-Man. He is the first. But he was just in Wolverine's way in those first 3 movies. He was just there to be the guy who Wolverine had to go through to get the gene. That's
It
all
was
he was.
so frustrating because James Marsden was such a perfect
Yes.
casting, and
If they brought
scripted
him back,
so
I'd be fine
bad.
with that.
Like, oh,
You know.
Yeah.
But we have to throw him under the bus because we got to make an in-sync joke topical. Ooh.
I almost did. I almost said that.
Yeah.
Bye, bye, bye.
Well, and that's like, you know, check two boxes at the same time. If you have Scott where he should be, it also pushes what Wolverine does best and getting under his skin and
Yeah.
that he takes standing up to him. So if everyone falls in line with their role canonically, it just makes them both shine that much more in their own different ways.
Right. Yeah, I feel like that's a good point because I feel like they shrink. They made Cyclops shrink to make Wolverine bigger. When if you actually make Cyclops not shrink, they both get bigger. We didn't get that classic back and forth. We got Wolverine shutting him down every time. Like he tried to put up a little bit of a fight, but Wolverine just said, "Nah, guys, you get out of the way." He deserved better. Y'all, we missed. I'm sorry. I put this on me. This is my fault. We didn't even cast Professor X. Or do we not even need to do that? Do we need to just leave it at Patrick Stewart and call it a day? Okay.
Yeah. That's, yeah. Top tier.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
I mean, we got young Charles and Legion was Harry Lloyd, and I thought he did a great job. But I'm a big simp for Harry Lloyd, so don't listen to me. But yeah, it's just gonna be John Luke forever.
There we go. Go.
John Luke, Patrick Stewart, Picard.
There we go. Cool.
That's
All
awesome. It's been great geeking out with this about you guys, and I finally formally meet, and I'm like, wow, your cosplays are great.
I know. I was like, this is gonna be so nice to like actually meet because I feel like I'm always just like in passing. So
Yeah.
we get to nerd out.
Yeah,
Indeed.
Like 2022.
Yes.
I'm crossing everything I can comfortably cross. Everything on my hands. Yes. You guys got anything you want to say to everybody at home? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to get off your chest before we get out of here? Nothing?
Stay mutant and proud, man.
Stay mutant and proud. Mutant lives matter. Yep. So y'all, that is it. Thank you guys again for joining me again for rearranging your schedules to make this thing happen. I appreciate that. Y'all have a good night. Everyone at home, y'all have a good time or whatever con you're going to next. Please be safe out there so we can have an actual con season in 2022. Good luck on your cosplay builds. Please hit that like button, that subscribe button, that share button, leave me some comments. Go follow Sarah, go follow Otfel, go follow Michael everywhere they are. I will have all of their stuff in the descriptions. And y'all have a good night. I will see y'all in the next video. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Bye.